Star Wars. We are a Star War. We are a Star War. Isn't that cool?
Hello there. My name is Corey, and I am a Star War.
And my name is Corey, and I am a Star War.
And my name is Jim, and I am also a Star War.
And we
Are a Star War.
And just for point of reference, if you have listened to consecutive shows, this is taking place about 10 minutes after we recorded our episode about Andor, episodes 4, 5, and 6.
That was recorded earlier.
That was recorded earlier. You are correct, sir.
Same day, but earlier.
So we decided while we're all here, let's go ahead and record an episode about Tales of the Jedi. So that's what we're doing now. So I don't have...
Efficiency.
Yeah, that's right, baby. I don't have full-on notes.
Content.
So we're going to read...
No one has notes.
We're going to read some recaps from Wikipedia.
But before we do that, I have a 5-month-old wire-haired pointing griffin named Avocado Miss Vanjie, She-Ra, Princess of the Universe, Reinhardt Swan Torres, or Avi for short.
That all sounds like you were just reading a Mad Lib.
That's her name, though. and she's a little whiny right now. She's eating. She just wants attention. So if you hear her, that's just Avocado giving her shout-out.
She's just trying to hang out. That's all. So let's get into it. These are very excellent short episodes. I think one of them is maybe 11, 12 minutes long.
Yep.
I didn't realize they were going to be that short. When they mentioned short episodes, I thought 20, 22 minutes, you know.
But it's pretty cool. They put out 6. They put out all 6 of them at once, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the first 3 today.
That's correct.
They're really well done. They look beautiful.
Yeah.
And they're well written, and I'm a big fan of these little short, like, let's just look at one little, this is just a moment in time for this character, and here is just one little turning point for this character. Like, that's really cool.
Here's what happened while this other thing was happening.
Yeah.
We saw glimpses of that in the Clone Wars cartoon animated series.
As an example.
Right.
Something that is happening while this thing is happening is my dog needs to go number 2. But because she's a puppy, she wants me to go out there and stand and watch her because she's scared. And I don't want to.
Bless her heart.
If we can be honest for a minute, I poop better when you're watching me also.
Well, you know, efficiency.
Do you need to go out there while he's reading a recap, or is she just going to...
She's just going to drop a deuce right by your chair.
Okay, cool. Well, let's get into the recap.
That's what hardwood
the first
floors
episode.
are for. Episode
Easy cleanup.
1. The title of this episode is Life and Death. A year after her birth, I'm just reading straight from Wikipedia here. A year after her birth, an infant, Ahsoka Tano, is taken on her first hunting trip with her mother. Both are surprised by a large predatory animal, looks like a tiger to me, which kidnaps Ahsoka. But after Ahsoka subdues the animal and has it returned to the village, with her riding it like a boss, the village elder looks at her and says, "Oh, Ahsoka, she is a Jedi." Very cool.
Yeah.
I loved it. I mean, it was literally the origin story for Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
And my favorite part of it was the art direction. Just the way that they've refined how their animation pipeline, the textures, just I don't know, it's painterly and it's just so freaking beautiful. I love it. I absolutely love it. And
it's gorgeous.
The cool thing, like the one funny thing that kind of jumped out when the tiger takes Ahsoka back, when the tiger takes her into the forest or whatever, it really looked like it was the dark forest from Harry Potter's, and like Hagrid was going to be set up that like one tree over, right, and
the Forbidden Forest.
The Forbidden Forest. Thank you. And what was the name of his brother, the giant? Was it Lulo?
It's
like
Shorty Tim.
It was Spleef, right? Like Spleef, the giant.
I think it was Soup Spoon.
Soup Spoon the giant, right? Like Hagrid had all this shit just kind of wrapped up in weird places in that forest. There's a reason why it was forbidden. It's because Hagrid had it booby-trapped with thousands and thousands of deadly creatures. But anyway, that's where the saber-toothed tiger took Ahsoka Tano.
Not to bring it down, but R.I.P. Hagrid.
I know, yeah. Now we're melancholy.
Damn. Anyway, back to that tiger.
The tiger was taking her over to Hagrid's Forbidden Forest.
Yeah, so... there wasn't a... all we really got out of this story was, hey, this is when we knew there was something special about Ahsoka.
Right. She was force sensitive and was clearly communicating with the tiger.
Yeah. If you want to look at it like, what question does this episode answer, or what hole in any plot line does this fill? Like, other than Anakin, we haven't seen anybody find a force sensitive child and bring them in. So it's like, this is saying, hey, this is what it looks like the first time you find out your child is force sensitive. It rides a fucking tiger.
And what's interesting,
Ride the tiger.
what's interesting is one of the things that they've kind of touched on. They've touched on the fact that to be a Jedi, you gotta get them young, right? And you got to take them away from their family. And there's cost and consequence. They've talked about that in some of the other animated series. Clearly, that was at the core concern of the Jedi Council in bringing Anakin in at his age, and again with Luke. And I mean, clearly they just need to stop training old-ass kids to be Jedi because they turn south on you. But, this was the other side of that story, right? Because when the matriarch of the town village says, Jedi, 2 days later, Ahsoka's getting bundled up and taken away from her parents forever.
Right.
The end.
Yeah. She must go for training.
Right. Never again does she get to see mom and dad. I have to believe that was maybe a mistranslation in the ancient Jedi texts, right? Like they fucked that one up. Like maybe don't give them a reason to be, angry with you.
Maybe it's weird to put a lightsaber in the hands of a toddler.
Yeah.
And be like, here, fight this robot.
But anyway, that's
It'll
what I
teach you
loved
how to
about
fight.
that's what I loved about that episode is it was showing the specialness of this person before she got hauled off to Jedi boot camp.
Yeah.
Love it. What you got on episode 2?
All right, episode 2, Justice.
What you got on my 40?
Jedi Master Dooku and his Padawan Qui-Gon Jinn are sent to a planet to retrieve a senator's kidnapped son. But as it turns out, the senator is starving and he's abusing his people, and that's what led to that kidnapping. So the senator attacks and he threatens to make an example of the people who kidnapped his son. But Dooku uses Force Choke to intervene, and he is stopped by Qui-Gon, his Padawan, before he kills the senator with his Vader choke. Have we seen anyone else do that choke other than Darth Vader ever?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
That's a signature move, and Dooku's doing it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, you might be onto something there.
And he's doing it at the time that he's a Jedi.
Yeah.
And so here's a question. Did someone teach him how to do that? Or did it just occur to him in the moment, I know how to use the Force to move rocks.
Yeah.
But can I use the Force to just
I wonder if I can
choke
use
the
the
shit
Force
out of this
to
person?
move your windpipe in on itself. Yeah.
It's pretty gnarly.
It's Dooku, man. Dooku.
You can say that word as many times as you want.
Let me tell you
It's not going
what.
to sound cool.
At some point, George Lucas sat down and he said, I've got a new villain for this Attack of the Clones, which is obviously going to be the best movie I've ever made. And this villain...
And I've got Christopher fucking Lee.
And I've got Christopher fucking Lee to play it.
I better think of the most menacing, most scariest name. Obviously, Count. He's got to be a Count. Counts are scary. Straight up. No one's ever been like, oh, my name's Count Basie. I'm scared of Count Basie, even though I like his music. But he's a Count,
Count
so I know
Chocula.
that Count Chocula will fuck you up. Yeah. Sesame Street, the Count. If anybody
he don't
murders
even have another
some-
name. He's just the
If
Count.
He
anybody's-
don't even have his license,
He
Lisa.
don't even have
If anybody
his
shows
license.
up dead on Sesame Street,
It was the Count.
it was
One
either the
body.
It was the Count if it wasn't happening right next to Oscar's garbage can, because Oscar would be the first person to murder somebody. I think
That's
we
true.
all know that.
He's got a short fuse.
But anyway, so then he was like, yeah, so he's a Count, and then scary name, a doo-doo. His name is Doo-doo.
It's Count Doo-Doo.
Count Dookie fingers. What's scarier than having Dookie on your fingers? Nothing's
That's
scarier.
pretty scary.
That's-
I mean,
when you're
that's
like,
how you get E. coli.
ooh, well, you thought you were going to be in the bathroom for 5 minutes. No, make that 20. 20, brother, because you got Dookie on your fingers.
You're down for the count.
You got to take a shower.
You're
You see
late
what I
for
just
work
did?
now.
You're down for the count.
The Count.
The count.
Ooh.
It's the
Anyway,
thought that counts.
what the hell are we talking
It
about?
is the thought that counts.
we were just talking about this episode, so it's fucked up. Like they bring in the senator, and he's like, "Hey, why you got my son?" And then the son is like, "But Dad, look
Dad,
at all
you're
these
the
fucking
dickhead."
yeah, we're the fucking assholes."
Am I the drama?
And I thought it was a nice like thing for his kid to be like, "Hey, this is fucked up. I'm trying to help
Yeah.
you."
And the very beginning of the episode shows Dooku's ship approaching the planet, right? It's a planet shot, ship flies into frame, classic Star Wars, right? Cut to the interior of the ship. He tells Qui-Gon, put it down away from the village. We don't want to cause a disturbance.
Right.
Like his level of consideration, he doesn't want to freak anybody out. It's like, we're going to walk for a while. Put it down out. I don't really want to bother anything, right? Like he's going in 100% Jedi. By the book.
It's nice.
Full consideration. Let's do this thing the right way.
It's a
They
peacekeeper.
land the ship, and it's a hellscape. It's an apocalyptic hellscape.
Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria.
And it worked. It also seemed very much like a Kurosawa story. It had a Seven Samurai vibe to it. The village that's been depleted of its resources, and it's been put down by the ruling regime and all this shit. And it just looked and felt like something from Kurosawa. I loved that because clearly that was one of Lucas's inspirations.
Truly.
No doubt. Y'all got anything else on 2?
Count on that. Episode 2.
Oh, Jesus. All right, so episode 3 then. This one is titled Choices. Reading from Wikipedia. Jedi Masters Count Dooku and Mace Windu investigate the mysterious death of one of their own. As it turns out, the senator's guard killed the Jedi in a failed attempt to force the corrupt senator to include them in his plot. That's all convoluted right there. After the attackers are subdued, Dooku is passed over as a member of the High Council because Windu becomes a member of the High Council. His buddy takes the good spot.
Because Windu didn't deviate from Jedi policy.
Yeah.
And
Windu's not out
ended-
there choking people.
No, he didn't get the senator killed. That was Dooku's fault.
The rules of Jedi Council, like number 1 and number 2, where you can't talk about Jedi Council. But number 3,
That was good.
number 3 is don't choke people. We don't do
number
that.
3, like in the ancient Jedi text, like when you see Rey
Ooh.
like reading the books on the Millennium Falcon, like she's reading in Sanskrit, don't choke people.
She's like, stop choking people. Noted.
The Millennium Falcon is a callback to our last episode. If you haven't listened to that, you should go back and listen.
You're missing a lot. Like, do go back.
Ooh.
Count do go back.
Do that. That was it. That was the summary.
This is probably the one I remember the least of all of them.
I was about to say, I don't
let me
remember
tell you
this at all.
So my favorite, we just watched it. My
I
favorite
didn't.
part of the episode was like when the shooting starts happening, right? So Count Dooku and Mace Windu, convince the senator and his guards to take them to the site where the Jedi was ambushed and killed because they want to see the crime scene. They want to see what happened. And so they get there, and all hell breaks loose because Dooku and Windu are like, man, this shit don't sound right. There's all the blast marks are in this direction. If they sprung out of nowhere, how come there's no blast marks on your ship? If they were
Goddamn
shooting
blast
back at you,
marks.
they were like, this ain't right. So it turned south real quick. The senator was like, they made me do it, and he starts to run toward Dooku and Windu, and he gets gunned down, right? And then all hell breaks loose, and the shooting starts, and battle droids drop out of the fucking trees, and it's just crazy. Windu kills one of the guards and just looks at him the same way Sam Jackson looked down at Jango Fett when he cut his head off. They animated that shit on purpose. It was brilliant. He just looks down like, I see you.
Oh,
It was so good.
Smart.
I did not pick up on that. You are correct.
And then Count Dooku cut down a whole fucking tree and dropped it on a bunch of the guards.
He did.
And I'm like, this was fun. Like, it got out of hand real quick because
It
they were just
escalated.
like, this is our Law and Order episode of Star Wars Jedi Tales. Dun dun. You know, they're looking at blast patterns, and then the next thing you know, there's trees falling out of the sky, and I mean, it got out of hand real quick.
Those blast patterns, you can't fake those.
You can't.
Yeah, wow.
Of course we are. We're a Star Wars.
We are a Star Wars.
We are. Yeah, this one, I know, this was probably my least favorite. I need to go back and watch the first 3 again. I watched 4, 5, and 6 with you guys today.
We can keep going. We don't have to do 3s. Because this is going to be a shorty otherwise, so let's just talk about the whole Jedi Tales thing, because you just watched them, so it's fresh for you.
We can.
That's up to you guys.
We can go on a tangent.
Well, let's do it now. Let's go.
But hold on, I want to go back to what you just said about this particular episode. To
I
me,
like that you guys can hear us deciding what's
the
going to happen.
value of...
It's like a choose your own adventure.
Well, you're not really choosing, though. I mean, you can choose to keep listening, and we hope that you do,
You damn
because we have
fools.
so much more to say. But the value of that episode is that, like, it, you know, what was better, right? Is the Empire better? Was the Senate better? Right? Like, corruption in the Senate was a real thing, and it clearly connected with Dooku. He clearly had a problem with it. What he saw as injustice, Palpatine exploited. That's my dog chewing her
His
toy. So
dog
if
is
you hear it,
wilding
she's
out.
going crazy right now and wants to be part of the podcast. But like, Dooku had, you know, what seemed like the right idea, at least in the beginning, because the senators were corrupt. And so, like, the whole, like, Palpatine exploited his desire to eliminate corruption from the governance, right? And that's where you got to be careful, because what are you exchanging, right? You know, everybody's got to be policed. Everybody's got to have some measure of accountability. And the Jedis were supposed to they were supposed to be the enforcement arm, not really enforcement arm, but they were supposed to be the ones that you know, negotiated deals. And, you know, hell, what were they actually? What were the Jedi? Because the way they were introduced to us in Phantom Menace, they were what? Special investigators?
Yeah, like negotiators, like middlemen, peacekeepers. What am I thinking of?
They weren't like police, but they were the strong arm of the law. Some shit.
But whatever they were, you could see the disillusionment with Dooku, with how because you have to assume that he grew up as a child in the Jedi Order. He was trained and rose through the ranks.
How did he become a count if he was a child?
That's a great question. I have no idea.
George Lucas. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I would assume that maybe, like, the planet that he was from, maybe there was a planet of counts, and like everybody's a count.
Well, I mean, maybe it's a hereditary title, and like his parents were counts, so he's
True.
a count.
Like they could have been, you know, Governor,
right?
Governor Dooku.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, we have this baby, and he's supposed to take over the castle, and then
But he's force sensitive.
The
Oh no!
baby
There goes our firstborn.
threw his bottle across the kingdom.
How many bottles was it? One bottle.
So let's get into episode
Quattro.
the next episode.
Quattro Formage.
Excellent. I think that might have been my favorite one because it had an appearance of someone that I feel like we've all wondered about for 20 years, which is Yaddle. Yaddle shows back up. We all saw her. Did she even have a line?
No, she was in the processional at the end of Phantom Menace when they were getting the medal and the orb of light.
And we see her sitting in the Jedi Council.
Yes.
But she doesn't speak.
No.
We never hear her speak. And then 10 years later in Attack of the Clones,
she's not there. She's not on the council.
She's not on the council anymore.
Well, now we know why.
And then Grogu comes up, and now all we want to talk about is who's Yoda, what is a Yoda,
right.
how many Yodas are there.
Right. Who begat Grogu, or as I like to call him, GoPro.
So we only have 3 Yodas ever.
I mean, how many Yodas do you need?
I mean, I need 2 at least. And we have 3, which is
I'm not going to
Great.
make a count joke.
We had 3.
How many did we have?
3.
all right. So I'm going to read episode 4 from Wikipedia. This one is called The Sith Lord. After Qui-Gon informs the High Council of his encounter with Darth Maul in Tatooine, so this is happening during the Phantom Menace. Dooku warns him that the Council won't take him seriously, but then after Qui-Gon's death, Jedi Master Yaddle discovers that Dooku has been collaborating with another Sith Lord, Darth Sidious, who appears and is very skinny in this episode and looks extra menacing. Confronting them, Yaddle gets killed by Dooku in order to preserve his secret, which solidifies his fall to the dark side. So a lot of shit happened in this 15-minute thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. One thing I do feel like I need to point out, and it's very funny, is that you said Yaddle all
Yaddle.
day, and they called her Yaddle,
Oh, no.
which is funny, only because you said like Coruscant at one point in the last episode, and I thought that was funny.
I do say all the letters sometimes.
And then, of course, like, you're calling doo-doo on purpose, and I thought that was funny as shit. But I didn't know if you were calling her Yaddle.
Well, his friends call him Doo-Doo, first of all.
That is correct. And
So you shut up first. You're a dog.
yeah,
So Yaddle is Yaddle?
Yaddle.
Yaddle?
Yaddle is Yaddle's cousin from Sand Mountain.
Yaddle. I mean, I guess it is spelled like paddle. Yaddle. Paddle.
And I'm not trying to shit on you. I just thought maybe you were doing it for a joke.
Yaddle. No, I didn't know how to say.
Okay.
What was I saying? Yaddle?
Yaddle.
Yaddle?
Yaddle.
Neither one of those sounds right, to be honest with you.
Hey, excellent point. Neither one
And
of them
all
sounds
words
right.
are made up, but it's a made up word.
But now that we know it's okay, so it's Yaddle,
You were
like
correct.
paddle.
Yeah.
Great.
That is a very excellent
Okay.
point.
Or rattle.
Well, also, she's fucking dead now, so
Yeah.
say it however you want.
Also true. Also true. So yeah,
Sith
this
Lord.
episode was fucked up.
I have a question about this episode, though, outside of the substance of it. I don't remember the Phantom Menace well enough to remember Qui-Gon going back to Coruscant. Like, I mean, clearly it happened. I don't think they would have written this episode the way they did.
He goes back after he picks up the kid, and he goes back and he's like, "Look, I found this kid."
Oh, you're right. You're right. 1,000%. Yep. It's
He's
been a minute.
the-
Sorry, it's been a
He's
minute.
the chosen one, and they're like, "I don't know."
That's right. That's right.
And he's like, "But he has so many midichlorians. He has more midichlorians than Yoda or Yaddle."
Y'all's is wild.
I forgot. Thank you for the reminder. I
Yaddle's
did
got
forget
a
about
fuck
that.
ton of midichlorians up in her. just
Silly
so
with
you
them.
know.
Just silly.
Ooh, rife with them.
So
So what now?
yeah, this was
This is what happens when we improv an episode and Corey Hanna doesn't have an outline.
This is the best
tend
episode we've
We
done.
tend to digress.
We're in the middle
upon
of the best
we're in
thing
the,
we've done.
We're in the inception of digressions right now.
Well, this was a wild episode though because we kind of see the turn of Dooku. Because we were talking about the timeline when we were watching it, we realized that this is all kind of happening when Phantom Menace is going on.
Right.
Because they're like, Qui-Gon found a Sith Lord out in the desert,
Right.
and then Qui-Gon comes back and he's like, "Hey, I saw a Sith Lord," and he's like, "I'm gonna go disappear for a minute," and then he don't make it back because he got killed by Darth Maul.
Killed.
Right.
On Naboo.
So it's crazy to me that the turn of Dooku happens that quickly because we don't know anything about Dooku until episode 2 of the movies,
Right.
right?
They don't even mention him in episode 1.
Right. And then all of a sudden he's a thing, and like he's newly a Sith Lord, more or less, right?
Well, but if you think about it, though, from the timeline that they're showing us in the Tales of the Jedi, he was already predisposed to being frustrated with the way in which the Jedi Council operated.
Sure.
All it took was for Palpatine to find a sympathetic ear who was and then exploit it. And so he did the same thing to Dooku that he did to Anakin, which was kill the thing most closest to him. It was entirely Palpatine's idea for Maul to kill Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
He had to take away the thing that grounded Dooku.
Well, and then he had the whole line of, "Hey, you lost an apprentice, I lost an apprentice."
Right.
Whatever.
But the difference was Qui-Gon was actually kind of a moral... Like, if Dooku wasn't crossing a line yet, it was because of his connection to the light side of the Force, and Qui-Gon was that manifestation of that connection. And, Palpatine, being a Sith Lord, could give two shits about Darth Maul. His eye is on the prize, which, honestly, what is that? Like, eternal power? Ugh.
Unlimited power.
Right. That's what it was all built up to.
Yeah.
Was that moment.
Yeah.
But it was nice seeing him play Dooku for the Fool. And the way they staged that sequence between, like, the blocking in that scene when Yaddle confronts them, and it's got, she's standing, she's backlit by the opening to the hangar bay. She's standing in the light.
And she's like, "Come on, we'll fix this.
Palpatine
We'll
is
work it out."
in the dark, right? And there's Dooku right there in the middle, and they're just word playing it back and forth. And she's gracious as fuck. She's like, "Look, man, I know this looks bad. It is bad. You help me bring him in. We can figure something out." And Palpatine plays on the fact that Dooku is still literally reeling from the fact that Qui-Gon just died. Because remember, that whole sequence plays out where she says, "Hey, everybody's hopping in the Millennium Falcon and there's going to Naboo for Qui-Gon's funeral where we burn him.
Right.
Would you like to come?" And he's like, "Nah, I'm good. I think I'll stay. It's probably not good for me to be there right now." Right? So this is like him not going to the funeral was going to check in with Palpatine. So he's raw, and Palpatine exceeds at exploiting that.
He's the chess master.
As opposed to the Stairmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing you also brought up while we were watching, this is like a very big question being answered for the Star Wars universe, is why does Yoda talk like that? So we've always wondered, like, that's just how Yoda animals talk, but it's not.
Nope. Because Yaddle speaks
Yaddle
very
not talk
clearly.
like that. So,
Yeah. Don't know what
And that
the
was
reasoning
Bryce
for that
Dallas
is,
Howard.
yeah.
so Grogu, I guess, will talk just like
Or
the Mandalorian.
he might talk like the Eminem guy on TikTok.
He might. God, that would be funny.
Would it though?
It wouldn't last long.
For like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
TikTok is funny for 30 seconds, and then you
Yeah.
can't watch it anymore.
All right, y'all got anything else on that one, or do you want to go on into the next episode?
I'm good on that one.
So episode 5 is called Practice Makes Perfect. This is another Ahsoka show. Disappointed with a battle simulation she has to fulfill, Anakin Skywalker devises a rigorous exercise for his Padawan Ahsoka, where she has to overcome a group of clones. Practicing the drill for years, Ahsoka is able to survive Order 66 during the 7th season of Star Wars The Clone Wars. So
It sounds simple in the summary, but the execution was just so good. I absolutely love this episode. This one is my favorite episode.
This is the one where I think I realized exactly how short all of the episodes were, because this one I think was maybe the shortest.
this
And
one
it
was
this
like
was
11 minutes.
Yeah,
12 minutes
and
or
then
something like
there was
that.
probably 4 minutes of credits.
Right.
Right.
But I mean, the plot was not complicated.
I mean, it's really just a scene.
It's really a scene played over and over again.
Yeah.
And then, but they did what the Clone Wars did so incredibly well, especially in the last season, which was you're seeing scenes that are either before or after or a continuation of a scene from Revenge of the Sith.
A scene that you know
Like
so well
like
already.
you're like, oh shit, like Anakin was literally just on that FaceTime call, that hologram FaceTime, and now Ahsoka's on the call, and they did a really great job of like piecing those moments in time together. This episode, the handoff is just heartbreaking and so brilliant because she grew up not with her family.
All right.
She grew up with the clones, right?
Yeah.
They were her family. And so Anakin, that whole line that he says to her in this episode, the only way that I'm responsible for your life, and the only way that I can help you is to teach you to defend yourself.
Yeah, because he's like, these droid tests aren't going to cut it.
Right.
These
Right.
droids
She's
aren't
acing those.
Yeah,
Right.
these droids are not as smart as the
He pushed her like
people,
a good
or
teacher.
AKA
but
the clones.
he saw the potential in her, but he also felt accountable for her. Like, this was good Anakin. even though good Anakin was her getting shot over and over again by a bunch of clones for
Right.
years and years on end.
Yeah, it felt like torture,
But it paid off.
but it saved her life.
And,
and then when
the
Rex
handoff,
says,
like
let's hope all that training.
and then
paid
they
off.
open the door and they step into the scene when
Ugh.
she's about to get killed by all the clones, and then she kills all the clones. These are her friends,
Yeah.
right? Like, that's Dave Filoni, just masterstroke storytelling right there. Loved it. I love this episode.
Loved.
We've said it before and we'll say it again. Just give him the fucking keys.
We've also said that I am a Star Wars.
We have said that many a time.
We're going to say it more times.
Yeah, short episode, brilliant episode. I really wish somehow they could have ended with it. Episode 6 was fine, but didn't have the payoff.
I think the payoff is just a setup.
Yeah.
It's a setup for the Ahsoka show.
Yeah, so episode 6 is called Resolve. After Padme's death and the fall of the Republic, as depicted in Revenge of the Sith and the 7th season of Star Wars, The Clone Wars. Ahsoka goes into hiding. She becomes a farmer. The brother of a farmer she saved with the Force realizes her true identity and reports her to the Empire. The village is massacred by an Inquisitor, the 6th brother, and Ahsoka kills that Inquisitor and joins the rebellion.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on the joins the rebellion.
It
part
was
at the
when
end.
she handed the comms, the communicator back to Organa. And because she was like,
she was hooking
like,
back up with him. I
right,
got that.
right. She didn't
Okay.
need to call him anymore because she was going to go with him.
Got it.
She was in at that point.
Yeah, and that basically is the bump into what happens during the events of Star Wars Rebels, the animated series.
Right. She becomes one of the Fulcrums and ends up being a core part of the rebellion. So it's worth pointing out that episode of Jedi Tales is happening probably somewhere within the same moments in time as Andor. Right? Because Rebels, Saw Gerrera was causing real problems for the rebellion
Right.
because he was fighting the fight on his own terms. And, Bail Organa was doing his thing. Leia was doing her thing. We're going to find out if Luthen is still going to be doing his thing. He wasn't in Rebels, but that doesn't mean anything. But, this episode, what I liked about it was it showed Ahsoka's sticking to her virtue, right? Like we were talking earlier about
Earlier.
we were talking about how she is one of the most virtuous characters, like consistently, like her good is consistently good. She's not corrupted. Everybody's corruptible, but she's not corrupted. She has this strong sense of right. She handles the hypocrisy of the Jedi Council by quitting, right? Like, so here she is. She's quit the Jedi Council. She damn near killed Darth Maul, right? She has done all of this stuff, has gone on into hiding, and still can't not do the right thing and saves that farmer's life, right? Which exposes her as being Force sensitive, which then gets the whole ball rolling there. So she
that scene reminded me really hard of the Superman scenes where he saves all the kids in the bus, and his dad is like, you should have let all your kids drown so that no one would know you're super. And then his dad is in a tornado and he's like, don't save my life in front of these strangers. They'll know you're a super kid. It's one of the worst parts of that movie.
But it worked in this though,
But in
because
this it's
she did use her power,
Yeah,
right?
it's good
She
in
didn't
this.
make that mistake.
Right. She didn't.
She actually did the right
Yeah.
thing.
Fuck you, Jonathan Kent. Dad of Superman.
But I think the farmer lady was the only one that noticed, right?
Well, but then brother overheard
Sure.
the two of them talking,
Yeah.
and that's why he was like, "May the Force be with you, Kai. May the Force be with you,
That little prick.
Yeah.
and also with you."
And may I also be with you. Yes.
Yeah.
But like Ahsoka, okay, was it this episode or no? It was the previous episode. It was the one where she's getting shocked over and over again by the clone troopers.
Yeah.
Anakin says something to the effect of, by the time you ace this, by the time you can master this test, you'll be able to survive anything. And then he goes, at least with a blaster. I think that's foreshadowing for we don't see Ahsoka in The Force Awakens. So she's dead, and
we
her
hear her voice.
Her voice is in Rise of Skywalker, so she's dead at some point.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be at the hand of a blaster. That's I think that was foreshadowing to Ahsoka's end, however they're going to do that. It was such a deliberate line.
Smart.
And she's already faced off with Vader. She did that shit in Rebels, so it's not going to be him.
Yeah.
But I do like this show.
Who is it?
Who is it? It's the 17th brother. It's the next door neighbor of the third cousin's brother's sister.
Carl.
Samsonite.
Yeah, this episode was a good episode. I feel like it could have been a bit more dramatic to end on episode 5, but I appreciate what they were doing here with 6 for sure. Getting her back into the rebellion and what was going on in Rebels. So, we probably needed a little bit of that to figure out why she was there.
And it was also a really nice reminder of just how fucking badass she is.
Yeah.
When the Rook skull design on the Inquisitor, was it the sixth brother? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
The Rook skull design was just brilliant.
Yeah.
It's so cool looking.
She takes him down in about
she has no
3
lightsaber.
seconds.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you," and she's like, "Nah, son.
Yeah, real fast.
I'm gonna take your lightsaber and kill you with it instead.
Yeah.
How about that? Are we good with that? Because that's what we're gonna
You better
do."
be. You better get right.
That was very cool.
Was there a few
No,
was he
she
swiping
took it from him
Right, yeah.
and then killed him with it. She ain't
Yeah.
got time for that.
Yeah.
No.
She wasn't playing.
Loved it.
So, do y'all have more thoughts on that, or do you want to go? Do you want to end with our memories segment?
I say we end with the memory segment, and instead I've got a different deviation on it. So same kind of idea. So it's from our youth. What was the best Star Wars toy you got as a gift, either for your birthday or Christmas or for acing a test as a kid? What was the one Star Wars toy that
As
you
a
got
kid.
as a little kid? Not the shit that I gave you all tonight.
It's hard.
Not since I got grown folks money.
Right.
Yeah. It's hard to figure out specifically because there are several that I remember having, but I don't remember like elation or whatever over anything. So I'll go to a memorable gift.
That's my dog. She barking.
Look, Ray Walkup was always the best at giving the Star Wars gifts that you did not expect, right? So, like, a lot of people would expect to get the main figures as gifts, right? Well, Ray Walkup would always get you, like, the Rancor Keeper and, like, the medic droid and stuff, right? So, like, you already had all those other ones, but Ray was like, I'm going to help you fill out your collection.
Nice. Yes.
And I always thought that was awesome because I would get the oddest gifts from Ray Walkup, who was a buddy in my neighborhood at the time, and then who most of us reconnected with when we were all in late high school or college at one point. But yeah, shout out Ray Walkup.
So the Gamorrean Guard, right?
Ooh.
Yeah. So that was one that you named.
So like the Rancor Keeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like those are the kind of characters you would get from Ray.
That's right. The Gamorreans.
The figures.
Yeah, that's right. That's still a Star Wars, even though I fucked that up. Don't judge me.
Yeah, hey, listen. Ain't nobody
How
mad.
about you, Sideburns?
Oof. For me, it's gonna just be figures, cause like the only like big I had the Snowspeeder, and I think that was the biggest vehicle I had like as a kid. I didn't have any other ships or anything, but I can remember like I had. And they're all from Jedi too, because Jedi was my favorite as a kid. So I had the Luke, where he's just dressed all in black. That's the one that I still take with me when I go to the
You mean
movies.
Sith Luke?
Yeah, Sith Luke. Sith Luke. He's the one I take and put in my pocket when I go see a Star Wars movie. Still to this day.
That's awesome.
So I've had
Can
him
confirm
for
that
That's
is
amazing.
true.
40 years. But my other favorite one, I had the Lando in disguise in Jabba's palace in the
I
beginning,
had
where
that
he
one
had
too.
the,
Yep.
he had like the mask that he like you can take off and see Lando. Like that was I don't know why, that was just my favorite freaking toy. I loved Lando when I was a kid.
Lando was
so-
pretty badass.
Yeah. So that was my favorite.
That was great.
Yeah.
For me, it was I got didn't have, like, growing up, I didn't want for anything, but I didn't have like the big toys or anything like that. And I know this is a Star Wars podcast, but like, I always wanted an Optimus Prime, and I never got an Optimus Prime, but my buddy down the street had one. So like, he would let me borrow it sometimes. So I would like have the Optimus Prime on a spend a night party at my place.
Spend a night.
Right. So, but with Star Wars, I had the X-Wing that I buried all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then one Christmas, I got the Tidarian shuttle.
Ooh, man.
That was the biggest Star Wars toy I ever got. I didn't have any of the play sets. I didn't have Dagobah. I didn't have, the Ewok Village. I had friends that had that stuff.
Yep.
But like, I got the Tidarian shuttle, and it was, and that same Christmas, I got the Tidarian shuttle for my parents, and for my grandparents, I got the B-Wing. And,
I like the B-Wing.
And I still have the Tidarian shuttle in the attic. Probably shouldn't have it in the attic, but I'm not a collector.
I honestly don't remember which of the vehicles and or sets that I had versus the ones that Ray had, because I feel like he had some of the ones that I didn't have, and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
Because my brother and I were spoiled big time by my papa Linville. Like, we would get big shit at our birthdays and Christmas, and I feel like we had Dagobah, and we had an X-Wing and probably a Falcon. But I feel like Ray had the indoor village, maybe.
And didn't the Dagobah playset have like a pad of brown foam?
Yes.
Wow. That
right.
is so just unlocked for me. Yes. I also had Dagobah. But I think that I stole it from Travis. I think I stole it from my older brother.
Travis's Dagobah.
Yeah. I was like, he's
tracks.
at school. I'm going to go ahead and take this to my room.
Yeah.
It's mine
but
now.
that was the one. It had, oh God.
Yeah, it had Yoda's cave, his little hut.
It had that, but then like you would look around
could spin the
and
little
you would
thing.
find little
Wasn't there
toads.
like a little snake?
There was a snake
was like
and
a
a
little
toad
snake.
and stuff like hidden in the little details. You push this rock and these rocks lift up. Oh my God. I love that too.
And that was a Star Wars memory.
It was, yeah.
That's Empire. That set was from Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Ray, I remember Ray had VHS recordings. I think that they had recorded off of the TV before we had a VCR.
A VCR.
And so we could watch the movies sometimes at Ray's house. And then I think we got a VCR sometime around the time Jedi was out, because I remember being on the hold list at the video store.
100%. I watched Empire because my parents rented a VCR so we could watch Empire on videotape before Jedi came out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's probably it for this one. This was a nice episode. So the next one that we do after this will obviously be Andor/Ender, episodes 7, 8, and 9.
/ either or.
Yeah, well,
Selvig.
Selvig. That's him name. All right. Well, let me get into the obligatory follow us bullshit that we
Please
have
do.
to do.
Yeah,
Follow
say it.
us on Instagram at We Are a Star War. We're on Instagram and Facebook, and you can find us on both of those. I think you have to do --podcast on Facebook. And then follow the Alabama Take. That's sort of our main hub for our podcasts. We're in a network of podcasts with some other fine folks, and we've got 5 or 6 podcasts going on that network. Follow the Alabama Take on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And that'll do it for this one. My name is Corey, and I am a Star Wars.
Well, my name's Corey, and I am a Star Wars.
And my name is Jim, and I am a Star Wars.
And we
Are
are
a
Star Wars.
Star Wars. We are a Star War. We are a Star War. Isn't that cool?